Hello and welcome back. Today I'm going to be working on the trailer again, so part 3. I've got some bits to do so far. My side markers have arrived, I'll show you them in a bit, but I need to primarily focus now on getting the sides done. Now to do that I need to weld them up first, and then I need to grind all the flaky paint off and put a new coat of paint on them. Which is easier said than done because I am rapidly running out of space to have stuff up, as you'll see in a minute. So I'll take you outside and I'll show you what we're working with. Okay, so you can see the lack of space, and then here I've got it clamped up, but all these sides are coming away from each other, so I need to weld them up and then get all this flaky paint off along here, and then weld up this side as well. This side isn't as bad, and there's some slight cracking in it, but I want to get ahead of it and do it before it breaks. So yeah, and then I've got the other one under there to do again. I've got a second coat of paint on the front bit, so that's no longer flaky. Finish isn't amazing, but it could be better. I messed up and when painting the top bit again, caught the wheel arch, so I'm going to have to repaint that too. But number one, try and get these two sides sorted, and hopefully I'll get them done today. Alrighty then, so I've ground it all down best I can. There's still some paint left, I'm not overly fussed about it. It's on there quite well, so it didn't just knock off with the grinder, so when it comes to painting over it, it should stay fairly stuck on there. I've put the first coat of paint on the inside. I've still got to do the outside as yet and weld the bottoms. That proved a bit harder than I thought. I did have a crack on the first one, but I need to, it's an awful weld, I need to try and get the grease off a bit more, because the grease was bubbling and pooling in. One thing I have done is I have welded a nut to the inside, because where this meets the front one, there was just a self-tapping screw through the front panel into this one, and it wiggled loose over time, so I've welded a nut in there so I can put a bolt in, which is a bit more of a solid way to fix the two bits together. Got my temporary little workbench out. It's just a piece of metal that's a C shape pushed in the ground on my workbench with a bit of metal bolted to it. Got that coated, that's nice and dry now. You can still see some of the flaking a little bit. Definitely going to have to touch that up in places, but overall not too bad. Not too bad at all. Fairly soon I'll get the next coat of paint on, flip them over, do the outside, and I'll be ready to bolt them onto the frame and start getting the trailer back how it was. Okay, boys and girls, one very important thing to remember when welding a nut in place, and you use a bolt to hold it in place to start with. If you don't take the bolt out after you weld it, the bolt becomes welded into the nut, and that's still really hot. So I now have to think of a plan to get around this. They're stainless steel, so they're going to be an absolute pain in the ass to try and bore out. So yes, that'll be fun. Okay, so I've done the second coat on everything. Everything's got 2 coats of paint on it, so it's all ready to bolt together. But before we can bolt it all together, we need to sort the wiring out, because the wiring is on the underside. So I want to get that once I've got access to the frame before I start putting all the sides and the bed and everything on. So I need to start with these. I'm going to have to extend these wires so that they come out the bottom, and then work out what wires does what in relation to the loom that's already on the trailer. So I need to try and work out what cables need to go to where, on which side, because I don't think it's going to be as simple as just colour matching, but we will have a go. And then I've got all the side markers to install as well, which I've got here 3 different sorts of side marker: amber, red and clear. 2 for the front, 2 for the side, 2 for the back. Now I have a massive old bag here, so they'll come in handy for some future projects. I've got a couple of other trailers lined up to do some restorations on, so those will be interesting to say the least. Not quite probably as simple as this, but we will see. But that's a future project, so we'll put that to one side for now. But we'll hang on to these because they'll be useful. Once we've got all the wiring and everything done, we can then move ahead and start putting the other bits on. Once the wiring and the sides are bolted on, I've got these number plate clips to put on, and they're spring loaded, so you mount these to the trailer and you put your number plate in. They're really tight, so they clamp on the number plate really well, and you just push down and then flip the number plate in and it locks up into a groove. Now these are really good. My dad and myself both got them on our trailers, and they're really handy for when you want to either just use a different vehicle, lend it to someone. If you're like if I were to borrow my dad's, I can just put my number plate in, clip it in, I don't have to worry about it. It's a really secure way to mount, and it's just hassle free. I haven't got to worry about cable tying it onto anywhere or it possibly falling off of anywhere. And then I have these little lever arch latches for the tailgate, so that you open it up, you clip it in, and then you fold it back and it clamps in place. Now these are really good. I've got 2 on my toolbox already, and they're really good. They're rated for 100 kilos, so that should be plenty enough for my tailgate on the trailer. So yeah, lots of little bits to get done tomorrow now that I've got all the big stuff done and out of the way, all painted and everything. So I will see you tomorrow for part 4.